What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today I got another video in our 2022 NBA Draft Scouting Report series. Today we're going to be taking a look at Duke's Adrian Griffin Jr., aka AJ Griffin. AJ is a very talented player, a very fun player to watch, and someone who should be taken in the lottery this year. And so, should be a fun video. Make sure you leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of AJ, his game, all of that. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So just a little bit of an introduction to AJ Griffin. AJ Griffin is a 6'6", 220 pound kind of guard slash probably more of a forward out of White Plains, New York. He played 1 year college ball at Duke, where he had a pretty interesting time there. Early on in the season, he was a hyped up 5-star prospect, but didn't find himself really in the rotation or getting a ton of consistent minutes for Duke. He was someone who, like I said, kind of found himself out of the rotation a bit early in the season. Kind of after Christmas break is when he really found his footing and started to find a role with the team, where I think he became one of the team's best players on a very talented Duke team. He's someone who is just really tough. I think it shows a lot about him that he was able to kind of battle through that adversity early on in the season, and he really played himself into being a lottery pick or keeping himself in the lottery, which he was preseason but had fallen out early on. And so it was good to see him fight through that, have a good end to his Duke career, and really flash some potential for that team. So going into the strengths of AJ Griffin, I think one of the first things that you notice with AJ is just his pure size and physical profile. He's 6'6", 220 pounds, and he's really well put together for someone who was only a freshman this past year. He's just physically NBA ready with that kind of body at 220 pounds. He's someone who's able to guard multiple positions, provide a lot of flexibility on both ends of the floor. Kind of starting with his offensive game, he's someone who really shot the ball extremely well for Duke this past year. Was well above 40%, I think almost 45% from three, which is, like I said, really well. I think that was kind of a question mark for him coming into Duke, and he exceeded all expectations there. He's also someone who is capable of scoring off the dribble, using kind of that size and that frame to body smaller guys and get to the hoop that way. He's someone who I thought really fit well in at Duke because he's able to play off the ball a ton, knew how to just move without the ball, get to open space, knock down open threes, doing that, and was just, like I said, someone who didn't necessarily need to have the ball in his hands and can make plays without the ball, or knew how to play without the ball, which I think is always a good thing when you're coming into the NBA that way. Another thing that I like about him is that he can post up smaller guys with that frame. You can't necessarily just stick a smaller guard on him or someone who is a little thinner at the forward spot. You gotta put another guy that can match his physicality with him, and so that's something that you have to account for with him, and he does really well as well. And then I think overall, offensively, he's someone who just can fit into an offense. I think that's going to be a strength for him from day one in the NBA, is that he can play a role on a pretty good team if that's where he ends up, and just knows how to play. He knows how to play the game offensively. He's very well-rounded offensively, and he's someone who can fit in and be an instant impact type guy, I think, offensively. And then defensively, I think AJ has a ton of potential on that end of the floor. He's someone who is capable of guarding multiple positions with his size. At 6'6", 220 pounds, he's a good enough athlete where I think he can guard some of the two guards in today's NBA, as well as I think he has the ability to match up with some foremen. And I think he can fit really well in an NBA where everyone wants to switch everything. And so I think that he offers that type of versatility where he can hold up on maybe some of the point guards and the quicker guys, but he also has the size where he can match up physically with some of the bigger guys in the league. And then he was a solid rebounder at the college level. I think that's something that should translate to the NBA level. And just overall, you got a guy who has a good IQ. I think he knows how to play the game both offensively and defensively. and if he's someone who can just focus on defense and let the offense come to him, I think he can be a pretty good defender at the NBA level. As far as weaknesses go for AJ, I think one thing that could be of concern for him is that he's not necessarily an elite level athlete. He just doesn't have that elite quick twitch ability. He doesn't have a great first step. He's not someone who's the most explosive in traffic, and so I think that can be some of his problems when it comes to finishing in the paint. He's pretty inconsistent with that, and I think it's just due to him not having that first step to blow by guys and get an easy layup, or it's not having that explosiveness to finish over the top of some guys. And so he's a good athlete, he's a solid athlete, but he's just not necessarily an elite level athlete, which could be a concern. I think another thing that is a weakness for him and something that he's going to have to improve in his time in the NBA is his ability to handle the ball. He's not a great ball handler by any means, and I think if he's going to take another step forward at the NBA level and become a true kind of playmaker for others, I think he's going to have to improve his handle and get better at that part of his game. And I think it's something that can be developed over time. It's just something that he doesn't necessarily have right now. And then I think one last thing that could be maybe a concern, or may not even necessarily be a bad thing, but he seems to at times be unselfish to almost a fault, where he's deferring to other guys. He kind of just can float at times and not be aggressive enough, or maybe not be as impactful as he should. And so I think he's gonna have to kind of get out of that shell or become more assertive and make sure that he has an impact on the game at all times, because he's definitely capable of it. Overall, I really like AJ Griffin in his game. I think he's a really talented player, and currently he's being projected as being a later lottery type guy, maybe towards the 10 spot, and I think that's pretty low for him. I would honestly consider him right around that 5 spot. I think I would probably put him at. I think he's got a ton of potential. I think he's got the skill set and the profile to be a really good player at the NBA level. I just think he needs to be a little more aggressive, develop that handle, and get just kind of that aggressive mindset that he can be the best player on the floor at times. I think he needs to kind of realize that and tap into that more often, but I really like his potential and upside. Overall, I think that, like I said, I would take him probably starting with that 5 or 6 spot. That's where I consider to take him. I think he's got just as high a ceiling as some of these other guys in the draft, and so if he falls to 9, 10, somewhere in there, I think they're getting a steal of a player, whoever drafts him. And so those are my thoughts. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of AJ, his game, all that. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys later.